Rockingham School District to order. It is 5:40 on Monday, March 19th, and the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think the first, maybe people introduce themselves because not everybody knows.
I made everybody do that while you were out of the room, but maybe we should do it for the camera.
Kristen and Chris.
Yeah. We could do it again quickly for the camera. All right, I'll start. My name is Margot Gia, and I'm on the Rockingham School Board.
Nancy Erickson, Principal, Saxon River Elementary School.
Keith Namelish, Principal, Central Elementary.
Rick Holloway, Rockingham School Board.
Edie Lou Cole, Business Manager.
Chris Kibbe, Superintendent,
Ed Wells,
member of the public.
member of the public.
Kristen Swartout, Rockingham School Board.
Aaron Bukowski, Principal, Bellows Falls Middle School.
Dana Quadra, Bellows Falls Middle School language arts teacher.
Welcome, David.
Should I introduce myself?
David Clark is here, auditing the course, I guess.
Yes, and I'm David Clark. I'm a member of the public, also member of Bellows Falls Union High School Board.
Welcome. Adjustments to agenda. Yes, I wrote on my agenda. I don't have any unpaid leave requests, so 9A is off.
9.
You're gonna have to bear with me because I appear to also be the minute taker tonight. So I would like to move 10A up to follow 9B. And then with 9E to follow 10A. And then we'd get back to 9C, which is approving the teacher roster, the notice of the board vacancies. And that's what I had. There are no objections. And also noting that you may want to go into executive session for the appointment of the assistant principal and the leave request, which are connected. Any other adjustments? Anyone?
Are you able to add in my one person for next year?
I think I've already got that. Let's.
Is that in there? I sent you the stuff, I just don't.
Well, I know, and I think I adjusted the.
Okay. Made the adjustment already?
Be on the student roster. Teacher roster, not student.
Teacher roster.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, once in a while. Okay. So I will now accept nominations for.
Mr. Superintendent, if I may, I'm here for communication.
Oh, I'm so sorry, David.
Well, we could do it after.
No, let's do it now.
Doesn't hurt
Let's
my
do it
feelings.
now. Yep, I'm so sorry. I just missed it. Communications and public comments. Hi.
Thank you. as I said before, I'm David Clark. Actually a resident of Westminster, member of the Union High School Board, and there's some topics which I'm going to try to touch on here very briefly because I know you got a fairly lengthy agenda here. First off, I want to make people who may not be aware of it aware of the fact that there has been a change of leadership at the Union High School. Colin James is now chair of the Union High School Board. I am not. I do very much support his leadership and expect that the high school will continue to demonstrate how it's done in Wyndham Northeast. And I will come back to the reasons why I'm not a member of leadership just in a minute or two. The next reason I'm here is I want to let people know that the Alliance of Vermont School Board Members had a very interesting and useful conference Saturday in Montpelier. It was to discuss steps toward presenting a successful alternative governance structure proposal to the State Board of Education. Presumably, people have seen in their email today what I would refer to as the 7 questions, which originate with the Secretary of Education, Rebecca Holcomb, asking you why you think that you need to have an AGS structure. And that's actually another item I'm going to come back to here in a minute or two. We were very fortunate at that meeting that in addition to the fact that we had some very interesting legal presenters, including Mark Ottinger, who's former counsel to the Agency of Education, we had two reps from districts that have actually presented AGS proposals, and their observations and insight on that were very, very interesting. What I will leave you with is we got some time down here because they're actually working on a north to south schedule. So the northern districts go first and the southern districts go last. We got time to polish. And that's why I'm here. I think the 2 important things which are going to happen in this current session, if you will, the new term at the SU level. One of them, obviously, is the presentation of those alternative governance structures proposals. I think that may be the most important work that gets done at the SU table, although I'm sure Chris Kibbe can think of a few other things. The other thing which I think is very, very important is the fact that we're having a change of leadership. And I will note for the record and for anyone who isn't aware of it, I've actually served with 7 superintendents of school in Wyndham Northeast. Chris Pratt will be the 8th. And I'm here to ask you to consider electing me to the chair of the WNESU board. That goes back to a comment which I had earlier, which is I was going to tell you one of the reasons why I am not currently in a leadership position at the Union High School. It's because I want to be able to devote that energy to WNESU affairs, where I think that the shall we say, wisdom and experience that I would bring to the position would be best applied for the benefit of all of the WNESU. And I think that most people sitting at the table know that possibly my main attribute is that I show up. I don't mail it in. Over the course of time, you will find me in the audience at all of the boards in the district because I'm really interested in what's going on. Occasionally I open my mouth, but I actually do my best when I'm at other members' tables to try to keep it shut and just listen, because I think ultimately that's how you find things out. So that's a large part of the picture. I have for years been a participant at the SU board, even when I have not been a member. I also, as many people at this table are aware, but some people may not be, represent the high school at River Valley Tech Center. And that's an important position because RVTC is one of only 3 independent tech center school districts in the state of Vermont, which are their own unique municipalities with their own board of control and their own budget. So that's my pitch, and I'm here for the duration because I'm really interested to find out what Rock Board is up to this year. Thank you, Chris, for the time.
David, I
Thank you, board.
have a question for you. You mentioned the 7 questions email or an
Mhm.
email. Who was that from? And
That's, I believe, from Rebecca Holcomb, AOE, but it should have come to your inboxes via Chris.
Well,
Libby.
it's on your,
It's under topics.
we're gonna talk about it tonight.
okay, so it's in the drive part, not the email.
The whole email went out to board chairs, and then I'm
Okay.
bringing it to the board meetings. But it's in your
In the drive.
drive. And by the way, if you want a computer, there are some hiding here. Do you want? Same with you, Kristen.
Yeah, I looked at
Yeah.
it. Chris, do you have a hard copy of what you gave to Margot?
Okay. Ed, do you want to speak now, or you're waiting for your magic moment? All right. Now I will take nominations for election of chair of the Rockingham School Board.
I'd like to I'd like to nominate Rick Holloway for chairperson.
Okay, any other nominations? Hearing none, I'm certain someone wants to move that the superintendent close nominations and cast one ballot for.
I'd like to move that
Rick
the
Holloway.
superintendent close nominations and submit one ballot for nomination of chairperson.
I grudgingly thank you.
And we are very
I would have
appreciative.
nominated one of you, but I knew you would just say no. Okay, election of vice chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Margot Gio for vice chairperson.
That'll leave you as clerk.
Okay.
Okay.
Tag, you're it.
Any discussion? All in favor of Margot? Margot is the vice chair. Election of clerk. I would nominate Kristen as the clerk. Any discussion? I'll cast one vote for Kristen. Appoint voting members to the WNASU board. I am going to appoint all 3 of us. We get 3 seats, right? Is it 3 that we
It's
have
3 seats, yeah.
right now? And if we get more members, we can discuss whether or not we want to appoint another member. But I think right now, the 3 of us and have been there and been experienced, so it'll be fine. Appoint truant officer. Who do we usually appoint? The
Is it
Bellows
the
Falls
Bellows Falls
sheriff?
Police
Yeah.
Department
Yeah.
has been doing a fine job in person of Thaddeus Parker
Okay.
for the whole district.
We will
Make a
continue.
motion to
I
continue.
don't think we need to
Do we
make a motion. I think I just
We just can do one?
appoint them, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I think actually you should make a motion.
Make a motion,
I think
okay.
there's a statutory
Okay.
piece of it.
Well, I'll make a motion that we appoint the Bellows Falls Police Department as truant officer for our schools.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Set time, date, and location of regular monthly meetings. First Monday of the month, 5:30.
First and third.
First and
Third
third.
So you got
Mondays.
them both.
First and third Mondays, 5:30.
Which one is the regular meeting?
They both are.
Both regular meetings.
I try to have the one on the third all the time because the business office can have a report for you more faithfully than sometimes the first Monday is too close to
Too
the end
close.
of the month.
So,
But it just doesn't always work out because of
Right.
vacations and stuff. Okay.
committee assignments.
You've still got,
Establish a Brattleboro reformer to be used to announce school board functions and activities. I would make a motion that we establish the Brattleboro Reformer to be used to announce school board functions and activities. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Committee assignments. Teacher negotiations. Do we have negotiations this year?
You will.
We will.
Are you willing to serve on that again, Rick, or not?
Would be happy to have one of you serve on it.
I think I would be conflicted because, you know, I don't have, my husband's not a teacher here, but he's a teacher in the district.
Okay,
So I do not think I should serve on that committee.
okay. Well, as long as Mr. Clark's gonna be there, I'll be there. So teacher negotiations is support staff negotiations. I will take. CIP teams,
Is this new?
Continuous improvement plan.
no, we've always done that. You've been Saxons River for a
Oh,
couple of years,
okay,
I
so
think.
it was by the school. All right.
Yeah.
Pick a school.
Oh, so you're assigned to a school.
Typically, it's what we've done in the past, yeah.
Okay, I'm open to whatever the two you got. What, are you already assigned to a school?
I don't think I was this year.
I don't think you were either. I have been with Saxons River.
Margot's
although I
been with
haven't done
Saxons
much with
River.
Saxons River. Although I keep abreast of your activities.
Seat
We
places
could
open.
leave one open. You can take Central.
Okay.
We'll leave one open for now. We'll leave the middle school open for now. Unless you want the middle school.
I am happy either
Okay.
place.
And Margot is Saxons River.
Margot is Saxons River. Finance and budget. I think
That's the whole the whole board.
typically we've had the whole board. Warrant signing, I would like the whole board to be authorized to sign warrants.
But any two is the motion you should
Any
make.
two is the
Any
motion.
two.
Okay,
Do we need to
Motion.
make a formal motion?
yes, probably because this
I'd
is.
like to make a motion that any two board members can sign warrants.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Other, do we have anything? Do we have any others?
Don't at the moment.
Do we have to do transportation or food service? No.
Well, we
That's- and
haven't
this-
really, and food service, I mean, transportation is just the SU.
Yeah.
Right, and then food
It's
service.
really the
SU.
SU
Is
as
SU,
well,
so-
and there will be an advisory
But that'll come
council,
from
but it's
the-
not gonna be a committee of the board, it's gonna be more of like school level, some board members, parents,
All right, so we'll leave that for the.
so not now.
Adopt Robert's rules for small boards.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Robert's rules for small boards.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We're reorganized.
I feel better already.
Just like that. Review and approve board minutes of February 5th, 2018.
I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for the Monday, February 5th, 2018 meeting.
Any discussion? Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? They are accepted. So where did we reorganize things? I didn't write it down very well.
What's that?
Adjustments to the agenda.
Okay. Sort of. So it's
So it's not till we get down here.
not till we get down
Okay,
here.
so we'll go through
We'll consult when we get there.
Superintendent report.
Just catch up.
We should have had Ed take notes as a test of his.
Really, poor guy. How dedicated are you? Did I give you folks school calendars last time? I might have. Do you remember seeing?
I don't remember seeing
don't.
it.
Hope so. They're small.
I'm trying to figure out when this current calendar will end. We're hoping it doesn't go any later than that. I don't think you're gonna get away from that one. Although this one goes, wait, no, I was looking at January. It was June, and I was like, thinking that was the end, and I'm like, no.
No snow days.
Okay. The other thing I just put up here today was, this was at the behest of the high school board. There was a little kerfluffle around fundraising that you may remember, Mr. Clark. And so this is an internal procedure. It's not a board policy. And so we rewrote it because we felt like it did not adequately cover certain circumstances, like when a group wanted to raise a lot of money for something. And then there was the question of should the board, at what point does the board need to be involved in that kind of big fundraising, and or at least know about it. And then the second piece was at what point does the board actually need to make a motion to purchase something, good, service, or item that's been being purchased because of fundraising. And then there's some other pieces in here around who handles the money, and of course it's really important that we have lots of checks and balances because, you know, we need to keep track of these funds so that there's no chance that anyone can misuse, you know, a student activity fund or, you know, write checks out of a student activity fund when they shouldn't be. And in addition, funds shouldn't be amassing in student activity accounts, because that's even more, another temptation for somebody who has a problem, which unfortunately hits the press now and then. So I think, thanks in large part to Edie, we have really solid checks on pretty much everything. This was one that I worked on with Edie and Christine Balch in the business office to shore up a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of point out some of the pieces in here. First of all, there's a mechanism that the principals need to know about a fundraising activity that's going on, and that they would have a form that needs to be filled out. And that if the figure we set here is if the goal is to raise $1,000 or more, the school board should approve of that. And if something's going to be purchased for $1,000 or more, then the board should also make that purchase. That should be brought to the board as an action item. And there were some pieces about what can be bought or not. Obviously, we can't pay people's salaries out of a student activity account. We can't pay a vendor who would operate off of a W-9 form out of a student activity account. Those all need to go through the business office. So hopefully this is in my department of things I'm trying to leave behind that are in good shape. But I guess, and the principals have gone through this last week. They had Did you see your one suggestion there? You probably don't. School administrative assistant. So,
What's on number 7 where it says purchase, items purchased for resale? What do you mean by
Like t-shirts maybe?
yeah, this came from the
So-
business office.
So if during the fundraising process, they can acquire an item for relatively no money, turn around and sell it, make a profit. Anytime we resell, even though we're exempt from state income or sales tax, we are not exempt if we resell.
Okay, so then is item 7 supposed to be 2 lines? So where it says any purchases of 15,000 or more must follow state of Vermont bid law?
They're
No,
two
those are
separate
two
items.
separate
Okay.
things. One is that just to let them know that if they're buying items for resale,
Okay.
we have to
Okay.
pay
It could have been
state-
separated because
We
Yeah, I was
could
looking.
have.
I was looking at them trying to figure out how they were related.
Yeah.
That was where my confusion was.
It's just to
I
make
was like,
them
what are they going
aware.
to? What are they going to buy $15,000 worth of stuff that they're going to
Well,
resell?
no, and they won't resell that, but any purchases of 15,000 or more
Do need
has to follow the bid laws, so
That would be my only change. Is I might like to see those 2 lines,
separate.
Whoops, sorry.
just so it's just for that bit of clarity. So.
Yep, that makes sense. We were just trying to, or I was just trying to think of things that we didn't
Yeah.
want people not to know about.
Right.
Rules that we have to follow.
So that was that item, and then the other piece I had was actually 2 things. Brattleboro Development Corporation sent these lovely things. Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation.
BDCs.
So beds. There you go. I've done my duty. I've handed them to you.
There's Josh.
Chris, I'm really sorry. I thought this was at 6:30. Do you want me to have a seat and get to it? or-
Please do.
You just made Chris's evening.
Chris is happy now.
Suddenly my evening has just, that's for Margot, and this, my evening has perked
If anybody
up.
wants one, I already have one of these.
Yeah, I bet. So, there's that. I've done my duty, I handed them to you. Now, on to this alternative structure. So, here it is. Margot, this is the page that David alluded
Yeah.
to. And so last week, actually, after, I don't know when it was, Tuesday or Wednesday, we got this email, or I did, from the state saying, we'd like to meet, so it's a 3 hours of driving to have a half hour with the Secretary of Education. Here's, for board members, here's the actual email, which, I'm gonna hand that around to Margot. So we're on this list, and this is one of the requirements. I forget whether it was a regulation or a law, but it is, I think it's actually in the regulations from the Vermont State Board of Education that the Secretary of Education was supposed to touch base with all the districts. Am I correct so far, David? I think so. So, I'm going to kind of refrain from saying, even though I might, that this is her checking off a box, but it is nonetheless, oh, I said that. Anyway, it's a meeting that we have to, presumably, I guess you want someone from each of the boards to go to this. And when you decide who that is, then I will try to coordinate that with the people the boards have.
Yeah, that's something that we'll definitely have to discuss, because Evan, who's no longer on our board, was part of the committee submitting this.
Right.
So we currently
Right.
don't have someone.
So, yeah, I hate to tell you who it's down to here.
Yeah, because either of you are more well-versed than I am in
Right.
Act 46.
And I also think would be some virtue in the group coordinating their presentation somewhat. Because you've got a half hour with the agency, and here are the questions you're supposed to address. And though my response might be, did you read our proposal? Because it's all in there.
Someone
You know,
should talk to those.
I'm far too jaded at this point, aren't I? So, anyway, I think we don't want to look foolish walking in there, with a group of people. I think there's going to have to be some coordination around that presentation. But they're coming right up. If you look at these dates, they start next week. There isn't a whole lot of time. David, do you want a copy of this?
Well, I have a copy.
I know you do. I thought you might want a hard copy.
And each one of our fellow districts has to attend separately?
No.
It says our
We're a
whole-
group of the
all
whole
districts.
because our
So
application was
together.
all districts together. And I think that's an advantage.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because it can be a cohesive presentation, kind of get it all done in a half an hour and not have, some of these districts have some crazy stuff going on where, they're part of a couple of different applications with different actual requests. I don't really get how they're going to do it.
Mr. Clark?
comes up.
With the board's permission, I would like to address a couple of specifics around that. And that is that one of the presenters that we had Saturday was, I believe it's Franklin Northwest, actually the first one to go. And they got these 2 days before their meeting. And the comment from Franklin Northwest was they felt very strongly that it would be possible actually to respond to these in writing in advance of the meeting, and then spend your precious half hour, which will get longer, actually addressing the points in your AGS proposal. And part of the reason for that is strictly a matter of strategy. You can either get your proposal on the table, or you can spend a whole lot of time addressing the 7 questions, which will not address what's in your proposal. And once again, it's why I think that we need to, as a WNESU group, need to really spend some time prepping for it. And I think Chris is absolutely right in what he's telling you.
So, and those of you that are familiar with the alternative structure proposal, those are all the things we addressed in there. So why are we going up? I think that's a great strategy for doing
Yeah,
this.
that
Here
sounds
you go, and now,
If I could just...
I'm not sure they'll love that.
The briefest follow-up that I can give you is to suggest that you would like to hit the points in your AGS presentation and take questions when you're done. These are some of the questions you'll be taking, but the point being that you really want to get your cards on the table in order to ensure that the board has an understanding of them, because the feedback so far is maybe not everybody on the state board has actually read the AGS proposal that is before them for consideration.
Was the state board actually present when Franklin came?
Yes. When you get into another topic,
Because
which
they're
I'll
not
bring back
really
when we,
required to be.
yeah, when we get back to the SU table, there is quite a bit of nuance around that, as it turns out, with the boards have actually gone through the process, or the groups gone through the process.
Well, according to this email, the people participating in this meeting are Secretary Holcomb, Donna Russo Savage, and Brad James. It doesn't say anything about the State Board of Education.
My understanding, members of the board were
I
present,
see,
not as a quorum.
I see. That makes sense.
Kristen, I'm wondering how you're feeling and whether you
Well,
might.
I'm still confused how we're gonna coordinate with everybody what day and what time, because I noticed that all of these are right in the middle of the workday,
Yeah.
which is a hurdle.
Well, I suspect that we are going to, once we know who the people who are going, is do a go-to meeting type thing and figure
What day
out
is
some
the
dates that work for everybody that's involved, and then then I'll send that information on to the state.
And you need one person from each district.
I don't think it has to be one, but I think you want at least
We want
one.
at least one representative.
So if we both say we're willing, but depending on when it ends up being, because I think I'll probably have conflicts with some of these days that I won't be able to get out of, but not all of them. Does
Yeah.
that make sense to you?
Well, yes. I think I'm looking at the next month for me as being very challenging on sort of my own, outside of the school board front. So the timing of this is really difficult for me.
Well, maybe
I can send a notice, sorry.
I was gonna say, maybe we should all look at our calendars, and maybe I can't be at the SU meeting next week because I have to be out of town, but if we could look at our calendars and maybe say, I can do these dates, Kristen can do these dates, Margaret can do these dates, and then depending on what the lottery draws, then that will decide who goes. I would be, as I said, you two are, I think either of you are more well-versed in Act 46 than I am, but if we are working together as a group with the other districts, then I would be comfortable going along with the other districts as representing Rockingham. But I have the same issues you all have, is my next 3 months at work are totally pretty full.
Crazy?
Crazy, yeah.
Well, if that'll work, and then we'll see how it works with other people. And then I guess the other question will be, can you have a pre-meeting to put together stuff before you go, which, that wouldn't need to be warned, but I presume an evening meeting would work better for people sometime. Or maybe you could do it ahead of the SU. That'd let you off the hook, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Are you is the SU meeting is when it's going to be decided, or each town is just, what's the significance of the SU meeting?
There isn't, except that if we did it ahead of the SU meeting, people are kind of getting ready for a meeting anyway.
Oh, I see. Okay, yep.
And the other district folks are there.
Got it.
Right.
Yep,
Collaborate with
okay.
some of them.
A thought was to have it ahead of the
Okay.
SU meeting. Okay, I guess I've got my marching orders on that.
Where are we leaving this? The three of us are gonna just coordinate dates? so we have-
I'll send the three of you something.
Okay,
So
that's the next step.
Tomorrow, Westminster's meeting, so I'll know who they're sending. Athens and Grafton don't have a meeting before any of this, so they're kind of just on email figuring it out. And the high school meets next Monday night, so they'll be able to talk about that.
And the high school would have a rep.
Well, they're one of the member districts, I think. It isn't, they're not one of the towns.
They're not one of the towns.
Yeah.
But
So they weren't one of the,
you're right.
yeah, so they weren't.
They're only represented in so much as the town school boards are members of the Bellows Falls Union High School. Bellows Falls Union
But
High
the
School.
proposals are really coming from the towns.
They are,
right?
yeah. So it's not essential, but,
Can't hurt.
Not that we don't want a high school representative.
well, if there was somebody on the high school board who was involved and could go, I wouldn't think anybody would object.
Not at all.
Definitely not.
All right, that's it for me.
Principals reports. Goes first. Alphabetical order.
My neighbor's school. I lose on both accounts. Unless we go by first name. So my report, as you can see, is in there. And last time I talked about Track My Progress, this time, and where we were in terms of our continuous improvement plan goals. This time, I created a chart that talks a little bit about where we are for our behavior goals. We set the goal to decrease our number of school infractions by 10%. Currently, when I got to mid-year, which was in January, we're down by about 15%. And this chart shows longitudinally. So this, for the first column there, was last year's fifth graders had 25. Now with sixth graders, they happen to have 36. And sixth grade had 25, they're up to 30, but we also have 18 more students in that class than we did last year with the incoming Grafton and Westminster students. And then from 7th to 8th grade, they've decreased theirs, by 16. Last year, the 8th grade from that same period of time had 35, so they're a little bit below that, but those students are now at the high school. So our totals, we had 135 last year through the first semester, and we had 116 this year. So that, I think, is some encouraging data. We did have 185 students who were infraction-free at that midpoint, and they had a special reward day where they got to choose whether they wanted to go ice skating at the Keene Ice Arena or watch a movie in the auditorium. Professional development with Meredith Wade working with our ELA and social studies teachers, and Lynn Kelly is working with science and math. Winter Showcase Night, which is always a nice night, and there's an article there that was in the Vermont Journal. You can click on the link there. And we started Winter Carnival the day before break last year and brought it back this year. And some of the activities that the students were all able to participate are listed. And we're getting ready for Spring AIM. And if you haven't had a chance yet to look at that little video, I would encourage you to do so. Oriana did a really nice job with the kids in creating what amounts to a commercial for signing up for AIM. The only other thing I would like to add is, and we're putting out as a press release, last Thursday we had our town hall, our school town hall meeting to discuss school violence, gun control, the Second Amendment, all of those components. We wanted to do it on the day of the walkout, but since we had the snow day on Tuesday, we really weren't prepared, so we put it off till Thursday. And it was very interesting. The kids were great. We had 8th graders that volunteered to be moderators, and they worked in pairs and substituted in and out. Tried to follow as much as we could about, town hall down to you have 2 minutes to speak, and, one of the jobs the moderator was timing it. It was really powerful, and it was really interesting to hear the comments of the kids. And they had done some prep in their ELA and social studies classes, but we had kids on every side of the issue, and they were respectful, which we kind of laid down the ground rules beforehand. But it was kind of neat, to see them, and I did make the comment to them at the end. And I've only attended 3 town meetings because we don't have them in the Midwest. That in the 3 that I've attended, they were better behaved than some of the adults I've seen at town hall meetings. Not all, but I think it really holds, for me, very positive feelings about the future of participation. The only other thing is we wrapped up the Sunday ski program yesterday, and I received a very nice email from Mandy Walsh, the coordinator, on how respectful and well-behaved and courteous our students were during I think they went 6 times this year because they had a couple cancellations. That's my report. Questions? Thank you.
Thanks for doing the town hall. I think that was a great idea.
Thank you.
I think it was probably one of the most positive things I've heard out of things around that last week or so. Keith?
Sure. So my report is in the folder. Enrollment numbers, pretty much as usual. It says 165, but there was a couple out and a couple in, as is always the case. We took our spring Track My Progress assessments, and there's our results. You'll see that the reading and math results are there. The proficiency, our percentages, our growth percentages, and then the WIG, which is looking at both of those things. And there's some pretty strong numbers there. There's some that certainly have our attention. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with what I'm seeing there at this time of the year.
And what's the WIG?
The WIG is student. It's wildly important goal. It's 100% is our goal. 100% of students will either be proficient or meet the 1 1/4 years of growth. So that's that. We were really busy on our March in-service day. We took a closer look at our student body and tried to identify how many of us know kids by name and face, how many of us know something about their family, know something personally about that student, know something about their academic skill level, and we collected all that information into a single document, which we'll be dissecting over the next couple of weeks. But that was pretty powerful. I got that idea from Karen, and we both ended up, I think, doing it slightly differently, but really effective. We reviewed our SIP plan and completed a needs assessment on this year's SIP plan. We also looked at the district's results on integrated field review, reviewed the accommodations and recommendations, and identified those things that pertain to Central in particular. There were some things in there that were clearly not for the elementary schools. Busy time as we're rolling into the spring. Yes, spring is coming. First grade completed swimming. Now second grade is starting their swimming in March, and that's going well. Second grade was just down at the Flatiron reading their poems, and this morning they read those with the whole school, which was great to see. Third and fourth grade had some special winter sports opportunities, cross-country skiing, and they go ice skating as well over at Vermont Academy. And Mrs. Bisbee had her baby boy Eli, and Leah Dirksen has joined us for the next few weeks to fill in. And we are getting ready for the Rockingham 5K. Hard to believe it's their 4th annual running of the 5K. Run for bacon, ham, and sausage, and hopefully we'll have warm weather, although we have yet to have it on a warm day. So this is it. We're going to have real weather this time. So that's April 7th. So. Any questions?
How many of your staff knew all the students?
It's pretty amazing how many people can recognize. Yeah.
Any other questions for Keith? Ms. Erickson?
Okay. So we're delighted that there's no snow in the forecast this week. It's hard to get any continuity going. When we come back from the winter holiday break, we have our Okemo Day is during the week, not on the weekend. And so we lose a good half day every week there. And so we're always looking forward when we come back from February to really get into a very meaty time, but there's been so many interruptions, so it's been very difficult. There is an art show at Main Street Arts. Colleen Grott does a beautiful job. It's an amazing setting for the student work, and it really is nice. Unfortunately, the planned reception was on one of the snow days, so we planned the reception for a day after school, the one day that week that we were in school. And then we had the Scholastic Book Fair come that week, and since we were only in school the one day and it has to be all boxed up and go on a Monday, we had to box it up Friday after school. But parents were great about trying to make an effort to come. We had a lot of visitors. We also have rescheduled the third grade field trip to the Fairbanks Museum because the weather throughout the state was not the greatest and it was too far to go. We are in process of completing the spring Track My Progress assessments. Kindergarten is taking it for the first time this year, and so there's a few kids that still need to finish up that have been away or whatever. So I'll have that for the next meeting, and would like to invite you all to come to the annual spring concert at the high school on Thursday, April 5th. It's always an exciting evening. Mrs. Dano does an amazing job, and what she can do with young kids is just amazing. And our Girls on the Run team has been trying to practice. That they've missed a few that they will need to make up, but they're excited about the 5K opportunity. We have the traditional March raffle going on by the PTO, and then have a new fundraiser that materials went home today, where we have a M&M Farms is going to provide us with up to 200 quarts of maple syrup to pre-sell.
It's food, there's no sales tax, right?
Right. Yippee.
Any questions for Nancy? Moving right along, what is next on our list? Edie.
Yeah. Well, so far, so good with the budget. I will tell you that even though we increased our estimates on tuition revenue in the budget, it looks like the middle school is receiving a lot more kids than what we had budgeted, for a total of an additional $283,000.
That's over the budgeted amount?
Mm-hmm. We're expecting $65,000 more from Athens, $32,000 more from Grafton, and $186,000 more from Westminster. We're also expecting about $40,000 in preschool tuition that will, it doesn't appear it's going to be used. There are some items that are over budget, and of course we've got the almost $56,000 in health insurance recapture that we're going to be losing from our April ed spending payment. So at this point in time, we're looking at about a $250,000 surplus for the end of June. Of course, you know, things can happen between now and then. But right now, things look extremely well, and that we're going to end up in the black, which is always a good thing.
The other thing we should probably mention, since you mentioned insurance, is the meltdown of the future planning associates in the insurance business, which has been in the papers very recently.
Yeah.
So far does not affect us. We're not us. Our plans go through Health Equity, which was the unaffected provider of HRAs and HSAs.
We were really lucky. There are very few districts that didn't use future planning.
So that's that transition, even though hasn't been lovely, does seem to be smoothing out at this point.
I think they're finally getting enough people to work out, and that they're all kind of joining together, Blue Cross, Future Planning, and VHI, trying to get this worked out. But
I meant our stuff. I don't know.
oh, our stuff is, yeah, a piece of cake compared to
I
that.
don't want to talk about their problem.
Yeah, no, that's a mess.
But you can read in Vermont Digger and various other places.
Yeah,
That's
it was
pretty
on
hot news item right now.
WCAX
Yeah, it
and
was on
yeah.
CAX. But that's not us. That's
Yeah.
a different provider.
So without that extra tuition, we would have been looking at being about 30 in the hole.
Well, you've got 40 to the good, and then in the middle school, even though you're 47,000 over in 504 students, you're about 160 to the good. We probably would have come, either right at zero or just
Because I
below
thought you said around
it.
283
Yeah.
in extra tuition, then about 250 to the good at the end of the year. So I just
Yeah, and then you've got about 40, yep, and then the 56 they're recapturing. So when you look at the entire budget and all the line items, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Anyone else have any questions for Edie? No committee reports, no real pellet boiler, handicap parking updates.
Well, I have a little bit for you.
A little bit.
This pallet boiler is driving me crazy because I can never get all the documents in one place for you. Last time we thought we had a proposed design for you to look at, but we didn't have a cost. What's the word I'm looking at?
Quote.
Cost benefit
Oh, right.
analysis over the years. So now we've got that, which I'll show you. But now the engineers are saying, well, we could do some different things with the pellet boiler. And Rick and I are kind of, oh, just tell us, just give us the thing. So we're still not done, but this came not too long ago.
For those who aren't aware, Rick is Rick Schumann, who is
Sorry,
the
yeah.
district maintenance guy.
So you will want to take a look at this. Let's see, this was what we had wondered, what's the difference between wood pellets and oil? And so this Tom Wilson from Wood Energy, from WES, who is working with the Wyndham Regional Commission really, and did this projection of as best he could of what's happened with heating oil prices and pellet prices, and he was pointing out how variable oil prices have been. You can see here, kind of they're low, but they've been all over the boards. So anyway, he got to the end, and he did this kind of the same thing with pellets. He projects that if we did kind of everything the same next year, and projecting a price of $2.25 a gallon for oil, and I don't know, I mean, that's in the ballpark. I don't know if that's, who knows. we haven't gone out to bid yet, that you'd save about $6,000 a year. So that was what we were wondering about the last time. Whether that in the end is worth changing out those existing pellet boilers is another question, and that's what you have to decide eventually, but you don't have enough information yet. So, and I can give you hard copies of this at another, I mean, at some point I'll give you a packet of documents, because I think it's kind of hard to look at like this. So there was one piece. And then a quick report on the signage, that was another, actually.
The handicap parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
parking. Rick, and I guess you've been involved a little bit, but most, Rick Schumann.
Just a little.
Yeah, Rick's been working with the town. Obviously, it's frozen out there, so we're not gonna have handicap parking signs go up. And the other concern that I brought up with them was fire lane. I believe there's supposed to be a fire lane in the front of the school where those buses park. And it concerned me that I went to a basketball game, or there was a basketball game going on, and it was all full of cars. So I think that needs to be remarked.
Yeah, it seems like the markings maybe have.
Yeah, I think, and
I don't
there
think it was
needs,
ever marked
and
for
there
a
need
fire
to be
lane there.
signs.
Was it?
I don't think,
I thought there was signs or something. There was something indicating.
Since the renovation, I don't think it's ever been striped as a fire lane. There might be signs there.
Yeah.
I know
Well,
my
there aren't
lovely wife got a
anymore.
ticket for parking
There aren't anymore.
at the last parking spot up there,
Yeah.
which would have been well out of the fire lane.
You know, my first year they were redoing School Street. It was a big mess. So I don't know what was there beforehand. It was all torn up when I started. So I'm of absolutely no help, I'm afraid.
Anyway, that's a piece, and the handicaps piece. So Rick is working with the town on that, so.
So they are working together and,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you could argue that it's the town is the one that needs to put the signs up, but we need to kind of suggest where they ought to be.
Where they go.
And I think we're leaning towards the front, kind of one side or another of Cherry Street there. Because that's good access to the elevator through the front of the building. That's all I got.
New business. 9A, there's none, you said?
No.
9B,
Well, oh, sorry, never mind.
review the FY17 audit.
The audit reports are coming around, and there's kind of a cheat sheet on top, so take one of each. And so the audit report looks good. No findings, no question costs. If you look at your cheat sheet, just because it's easier to read than the audit report, your statement of net position actually increased by almost $54,000 during the FY17 school year. And that if you look at each of those lines, it'll net out your revenues less your expenditures. And then when you remove the liabilities, depreciation, et cetera, you actually see what your net worth has either increased or decreased. And it increased significantly. So then, pulling that all together, your net worth as of June 30th, 2017 is $7,220,000. And then, just so you're aware of all the fiduciary accounts that are maintained, this is what we have. Those were all set up for very different reasons. The first three are student activity accounts. But no, the audit report looks good. So when you get a chance and read through it, if you have questions, I can answer them, but
What is a student activity account?
those are monies raised for students, usually by students, so class accounts or club accounts, but usually they actually raise funds for student activities.
Field trips.
Yeah, there's a lot more of that, of course, at the high school. But
Central and the middle school seem to have pretty healthy accounts.
yeah,
And they are separate from, there are a couple of 501(c) organizations that operate
Yeah.
with the schools. They're separate, so those,
I was
Right.
wondering if the central one included the,
but they may have passed money
Right,
from
they-
their account to the
Right.
student activities.
but they keep their own accounting
Right,
and their own tax
but it,
stamps.
even though it's for student activities, the business office is still responsible for the oversight as far as what they can and can't do, and the board, of course, is ultimately responsible
back to
for
what-
all funds.
goes back to what Chris presented earlier about that form for fundraising and stuff.
Yes.
Long-term.
Yep. The board is responsible for all funds that go through the school system. So, but no, you look good. This will be the last time you see a report like this in this format, because we went out to bid again for the next 3 years for our audit. And a different audit firm won the bid. And that's a good thing, because since I've been here, Fothergill, Segali, and Valley have been doing the audits. It's time to get another pair of eyes. They know how we do things. They haven't had a lot of suggestions because they've been pretty much in agreement. If they're not, then, we change what we're doing. However, a different firm will have a totally different approach. Mr. Smith, Ron Smith, who owns the company, his specialty is fraud. And so I'm expecting his first visit here, that will be his focus. He'll want to eliminate the chance of all, fraud. And once he realizes we've got that under control, then he'll go on and do something else. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because I've heard from several that that's his mindset. That's the first thing he comes in thinking is going on. So yeah, it may be a little tough at the beginning, but he'll realize that we've got a lot of checks and balances in place, and no one has very much control or not enough control to be able to do damage. And that's the way we want it.
Any questions for Edie? Make sure you read this in depth tonight.
I'll quiz
There'll
you
be a
tomorrow.
quiz.
There'll be a quiz at the next meeting.
All right. So we're gonna do.
Do we want to
the-
do D?
And A,
Get that done
right?
out of the way so then people want to leave, or
Well, you can,
it doesn't matter to me.
but you.
Yeah.
But was what we moved up, was the appointment.
Okay. So we are going to move on to 10A, the appointment for Dana Aquadro as the assistant principal of Bellows Falls Middle School. Since this is a bit of a contractual matter, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I would invite Ms. Bukowski to stay with us.
So I'd like to make a motion that the board appoint.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, all right. I'd like to make a motion that the board appoint Dana Quadro to the assistant principal position at Bellows Falls Middle School
With,
with the superintendent and the board chair to negotiate a contract.
thank you. Discussion? Dana, would you like to speak?
I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm excited and look forward to working for the community at the middle school. I love the school, but I really do enjoy and love the kids of this community. I've been a teacher in this district for a long time, and I've grown really fond of the students in this community. It's been an incredibly enjoyable experience, and I hope by moving into an administrative position that maybe I can advance maybe the school's reputation and ensure that that the kids continue to have a good experience at the middle school. But I appreciate it. I thank you.
Any more discussion, or anyone have any questions for Dana? No? All in favor of appointing Dana Quadro as assistant principal to Bellows Falls Middle School, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so it is. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the wisdom and sagacity of your board.
And now we have a teacher request for 1 year leave of absence, which I believe is Dana
It
Aquadro.
is indeed. So with the he writes, with the appointment to the assistant principal position at Bellows Falls Middle School, I would ask for a 1 year leave of absence from my teaching position from August 2018 to June 2019. In the unforeseen situation, an unthinkable, I would add, Dana, unforeseen situation where the administrative role is not one that fits my personality and skill set, I would like to be able to return to teaching English at the Bellows Falls Middle School. Humbly, Dana Aquadro.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant a 1 year leave of absence to Dana Quadro for the next school year,
Any
18-19 school year.
discussion? Questions for Mr. Aquadro? Anything you'd like to say about this?
I've enjoyed my time here a lot, and I really do appreciate you offering me the opportunity to try this and to serve the community in a different capacity.
No. I think the difficult part of this decision is wanting you back if it doesn't work out, I guess. So maybe that's not a difficult part of the decision. Difficult part of the decision is giving you up to do something even better and not wanting to lose you if it doesn't work out. So all in favor of granting Mr. Aquadro his 1 year leave of absence?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Now you're down to the teacher rosters.
Now we're down to the teacher rosters, which have changed now, right? Or have not changed?
No. They're.
to be hired.
Well,
Which are-
What
yes,
happened to
they
the notice
have.
of board
Yes, okay.
vacancy?
Sorry.
Oh, we put E for,
So yes, so here's the middle school roster. If you can blow it up a little bit, maybe. Look at that. So we've got Dana's position
At the bottom there.
at the bottom, the to be hired, and that would be a 1-year non-renewable. And then the other positions are same as they were, is that right, Karen?
Yes, they are.
so there's no other changes
That's the middle school.
in the middle school roster?
No, they're not.
Let's see if I can find my way to the central. So here's the other thing that has been going on is we've with the retirement of Anita Carlson coming, and she was part-time at Central. Keith posted the position for the rest of her, was it .4 or .6? I'm sorry.
Posted it as a,
We posted as
as
a,
a one,
yeah, as a full-time, and,
So does that mean that, because well, should I let you finish?
well, let me get through it. So, so Jennifer Burke, who currently works in Saxons River and Central, is applied for the position, and we are recommending her hire as a full-time nurse at Central. So that's where you see this, the 1.0 for Jen Burke here. I don't think there's any other changes there, Keith,
No.
right? And then there's a trickle-down effect here.
We knew this was happening.
Dang it all, I fixed that once. Anyway, the school nurse.
Tell me it's Danish.
That's funny, it didn't stick. I did. Anyway, so currently Saxons River is staffed in the nursing position with Jennifer Adet as .6 and Jen Burke as .4, right? So since she would be moving out of that position, her .4 becomes an open position.
So the two positions at Saxons River make a full-time.
They do make they're still full-time.
And is Ms. Audette interested in the full-time?
Full-time.
Well, that's a personnel matter, and
Okay,
so
Okay.
for right now,
Sorry.
we're just posting as an open position,
The
okay.
.4.
the .4. But again, that's the only change in Nancy's roster as well.
It's nice to see some stability in the
What's
roster.
that?
It's nice to see stability in the rosters and not have tons
Yeah,
of open
right.
positions.
And I'm happy that Keith has a full-time one-person nurse, because that's
Yeah. It's nice in that
Pretty
school.
it's a
Yeah.
bit, well, they're all busy positions, and Keith certainly has a very busy, quite a few
Yeah.
students, and it's hard to keep handing that
Yeah.
off. I mean, I think you had uniquely skilled people there between Jennifer and Jen and Anita who were able to do it beautifully, but it's going to be better, I think, to have a single person in there. So those are your rosters. So by doing this, you're instructing me to issue contracts to the people that are on these lists, which I will do before the contractual deadline in April.
Want to make a motion?
Yes, I will make a motion to approve the teacher roster for 2018-2019 school year.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Notice of board vacancies or appointments. See attached letter of interest. Did everyone read Mr. Wells' letter? Would you?
We're excited.
Huh?
I'm excited.
Would you like to, do you have anything you'd like to say to us while you're here in person?
No, I'm not a lot in depth other than just what's in the letter.
You haven't up and left yet, so.
I've had an interest in getting involved more with the school system in the past couple of years that since I've relocated back to this district. I'm actually a graduate of Bells Falls High School myself. I didn't actually look into running the normal way that someone would seek a seat on the school board this year, just because of illness in my family, not knowing what was going to happen with that. But that situation has changed drastically now. My father was battling cancer, and last month lost that battle, unfortunately. And that was kind of the one reason, I guess, I was holding off on making a time commitment outside of work and what I have going on with my family. So when I saw the article and the quote of you saying that there were vacancies and if anyone was interested they should submit a letter of interest, I decided to do that. So here I am.
Anyone have any questions they would like to ask Mr. Wells? Do we need to put this on the next agenda?
No, you're good. You can appoint tonight. Just need a motion to do so.
All right, I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Wells to the 3-year?
It would.
Oh, just to the end of
It
this
wouldn't-
year?
Well,
Yeah, it
we-
wouldn't, it doesn't really matter which seat he gets appointed to, because he would have to run for it.
At the
He'd
end
have to
of-
run for the
okay.
end of the year. It would only be until the next year's election. Is the way the appointments work. So the 3-year, if he ran for the 3-year seat next year, then it would only be a 1-year seat, I think, left, because I think Evan had the 3-year seat, so he already used up 1 year of the 3-year seat. This would be the 2nd year of the 3-year seat, and then there'd be one more.
This is how they finagle you into a 3-year seat. Yeah. Don't buy it.
So the motion is made. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor of appointing Edwin Wells to the school board for the rest of the electoral year? Please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. So you'll need to go to the
Welcome.
town clerk and get
I hear I
sworn
gotta get
in.
sworn in before I can vote. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And welcome to the school board.
Thank you.
Chris will meet with you at some point and go over
Yep. And
Teacher
the
the secret
basics.
handshake. so-
Yeah,
the secret handshake is big.
it's really, it's a tough one.
Welcome.
And so
Thank you.
further notices, there's still an open seat.
There's still an open seat that you really use and appoint one other person, and as I've been ranting for a while, please get involved, because everybody wants to complain about things, but there's not very many Mr. David Clarks out there that really show up, so that's half the battle.
I live in Westminster.
He lives in Westminster, yeah. Director's comments? We don't have anything else.
No, I guess not.
Director's comments? Margot?
I think I'm all set. Thanks.
Kristen?
I am all set, thank you.
I would just like to thank Edwin Wells for stepping up and joining us. And I'd like to thank all the principals for all the work that they do. Mr. Quadro, congratulations. I look forward to working with you over the next year or two. For me, not you. Thank Mr. Clark for joining us, and Mr. Kibbe and Josh as always. Our next meeting, it says April 2nd.
It does, and I guess it's, the calendar is kind of snagged us here, because if the 16th, which is when I would have said you should meet next, and which is when I think you were wanting to meet next, is also during school vacation week.
The first day of school vacation.
Yeah. So
Right.
Well, that makes sense then to meet the 2nd.
I guess it makes sense you meet the 2nd. I'm not sure you have a ton of business items coming, but we'll just kind of see.
But it's either that or wait.
Right.
a long time.
Otherwise, it's May.
Yeah, okay. We'll meet on the 2nd then.
Where? That's the next question.
How about Central?
Central? Keith?
Is that?
Okay, April 2nd, Central Elementary School. I'm going to make my own motion to adjourn. We are done.